West Ham United's quest for Premier League survival continues when we host high-flying Chelsea tomorrow night, 8:15 p.m, nearly 24 hours from now. We're currently sitting 17th, but only sit above Bournemouth and Aston Villa, who are below us in the relegation zone on goal difference. And to make matters worse, Moyes' men have lost each of our last three Premier League games without scoring a single goal. Trying not to be a defeatist here. Chelsea then are probably one of the last sides that West Ham could wish to face right now. Frank Lampard's team has obviously been excellent during the resumption of play, beating Aston Villa and Man City 2-1 to remain in fourth place, while they overcame Leicester City last time out to reach FA Cup semi-final. That completes a run of 5 wins from 5 for Chelsea, who've conceded just 2 goals during that time. So, will West Ham pull off an unlikely but vital win in our battle to avoid relegation, or will Chelsea remain in control and push us aside? Good evening and welcome back to Irons United. I am, of course, your host, Anton. I am joined by our co-host, Stel. But before we move on, please make sure you comment, subscribe, hit those thumbs up, but get the comments in below and let us know your thoughts on what we're talking about tonight. Stel, Chelsea, what do you think?
Well, since return of football, it's going to be three games and 3 defeats, isn't it? You know, I'd love to be an optimist, and I'm probably going to give you a result that is going to contradict what I've just said. But it's they're on form. We're not. We don't have any strikers. They've got an abundance of strikers, and it's going to be another tough evening. And I really do wish it'll be something different. And you know, I've heard so many people talk about, you know, this is another hit we can take. You know, we've had 3 hits now, including this one, since lockdown has been unlocked, and I'm not looking forward to it, to be really honest with you. And that's unusual for me because I usually try to be a bit upbeat, but it's an informed Chelsea with a plethora of strikers against a team with no strikers.
I can tell your enthusiasm has gone dramatically, considering what about 9-10 days ago we were like sitting here reasonably positive about a lot of things, and then suddenly bang, we've definitely hit the ground, came back to earth 100%. Listen, before we continue, we're obviously going to go in and talk about Chelsea, so we're going to bring in our guest. Of course, he's a regular on Irons United and obviously as part of Irons United, and it's but he's also Mr. Stato. Matt, how are you, my friend?
Not as optimistic as I was about 2 minutes ago. Really,
sorry, was that my intro? Did my intro not help you there?
Still just like
me bringing him down.
It just put me through the
Sorry, mate.
I was going to say, you know, this would be tomorrow would be prime West Ham for us to turn up and get something out of the game. The way everything's going, it would be typical West Ham, even if it's just a point, to turn up tomorrow and get something out of the game. And Stel's just gone to me, no, we're just going to get absolutely battered.
Well, listen, you know, head-to-head,
Sorry,
mate. The history with West Ham versus Chelsea in the Premier League is Chelsea have won 25 of the 47 Premier League matches between the London rivals. West Ham have won 13. Well, of course, there have been 9 draws. Although the saving grace is that West Ham have already beaten Chelsea this season, back in November. That's a distant memory.
Under Pellegrini, with a different team, a different attitude, a different formation. Yeah.
But it wasn't really Pellegrini, though, was it? It was the coach. That was the rumoured game. What was
that's right. That under 23s coach or whatever it was. Yeah. That's correct. Yeah. God, that's why we got him on, because I didn't remember that.
Well, let's go to Chelsea, Matt. I mean, obviously they've hit a bit of, well, since they've returned, they've hit a bit of form. They're unbeaten in 3 since the return, but I think they're unbeaten in 5 in all competitions since whatever the last 5 games. What is it that Lampard's doing at Chelsea?
I think it's probably taken him a while to get going. He's obviously given the youth, your younger players. He's really doing something that we need to do with our team, which is he's shipping out a lot of the older players and bringing in younger, hungrier players, but it's the pace that he's put in the team. Defensively, they're still quite slow. But when you're going forward now, you've got the likes of Pulisic, who is 50-50 for tomorrow. But you've got Abrahams, who's actually not in form at the moment. But again, he's a quick player. You've got Willian, who's still skillful. Ross Barkley, he loves getting forward, and he's even said today they spoke about Kante as a defensive option. He said, I don't want him to be a holding midfielder. He goes, I don't want him to be a Makalele. He's got the edging to get up and down, and that's what I want. I want people covering the ground, getting forward, which is something he's changed in the Chelsea team.
Yeah.
Maybe it's taken a while to get going. It seems that the lockdown's been a blessing in disguise for Chelsea because they're the team that have come out. I mean, they ran Man City rugged last week, beat Leicester in the Cup. So he's still competing in all as much as he can and all competitions he's left going for him.
Yeah.
He's still rotating the team as well.
Yeah,
and he's giving the young players a chance, which is nothing that we do at the moment.
But
Moyes just seems to be like allergic to it.
Yeah, and then Moyes talks a good game in terms of bringing in young players, but he doesn't do it. Whereas Lampard, you could argue that Chelsea have had no choice because of their, the embargo on transfers, etc. So they didn't have a choice. But boy, they've taken their chances, haven't they? And
Well, they didn't really have anything to lose, though, did they? Still, to be honest.
Well, this is exactly it. We kind of wrote them off at the beginning of the season. We talked about Chelsea might be sort of mid-table. We were talking about West Ham potentially coming above, finishing above them. I mean, how because they had all the kids, and we were like meant to be this fantastic-looking team. But Lampard, you're right, Matt. Lampard has got them going. He's got them set up to play, and they're all relishing it. They're all really excited at playing for the club, and what that's given Lampard as well is it's given him options in most parts of the field because he now has Abrahams and Mason Mount and all these other youngsters who are competing for first team football, and that's fantastic for them, isn't it? And no wonder they're on form. No wonder they're sort of like, they're in the cup, they're doing well in the league, and we're meeting them.
Yeah, I mean, it's on you go, Matt. On you go.
I was going to say, the one thing I would say is that they've actually put these kids out on loan before. A lot of them played in the Championship last year, done well, and they brought them back in. Whereas we just seem to send our kids out on loan to League One and then go, oh, they're not good enough. Let's move them on. Reece James, the right back, I think was at Wigan last year. Tamori was at Derby. Mount was at Derby. Abrahams was at Villa. They've, all these kids that he's brought in that he's given a chance to, they have played football last year at a high standard. They play Championship football, whereas we don't seem to do it. We seem to either they come straight in the team and they might do well, or they go to League One. I mean, I think really, I know Josh Cullen's playing at Charlton, but they're still in a massive relegation battle. But it's only really Diangana that's one that's pushed us up to that sort of level. But where what he's done, going to West Brom and then a team pushing up the table, is what we should be looking to do with our kids.
Absolutely.
Go to the teams in the top 8 of the Championship, saying, you just missed out on the Championship or just missed out on playoffs last year. We've got this youngster we're looking to nurture. We think if you can give him the playing time, you can have him on loan. But we don't. We go, send him to League One, see if he's all right there. He didn't make it in League One. I'm not even going to try and list the amount of players we've sat here spoken about on this channel over the last 2 years. We've gone, he's going to be a really good prospect. And then just, he went on loan to Luton. He went on loan to Burton Albion. He didn't really work out. He's playing in second division in Spain now.
You've hit the nail on the head, mate. What a lot of Premier League clubs do, and Chelsea have done. You've said it yourself. When they do send their players out on loan, they're not just going to just throw them out of the team and put them anywhere, which is exactly what we do. I mean, everyone's praising Josh Cullen, but as you said, Josh Cullen is probably good enough at the level that he's at, whereas these other players, Mason Mounts and Abrahams and all these players, they've gone to teams and they've been battling for something. Cullen is battling a relegation, which I guess is suitable for us at the moment. But the likes of Mason Mount, etc., they were battling to win their league, get promoted, etc. And that stood them in good stead. They've come to West back to Chelsea, and they've got that hunger, haven't they? They've got that sort of that desire to want to do well. And Chelsea have got it right. We laughed in the past about Chelsea all they do is just buy themselves a trophy. Whereas this season, They've had to prove to do it a different way. And all right, they're not going to win the league, but they're not doing too bad, are they?
It kind of does go back to when we said there about the start of the season, talking about Chelsea's position, and obviously they had the transfer embargo. Lampard, a young manager, proven in the Championship. I don't think did he complete a full season in the Championship?
Don't think
Lampard. He did the one season at Derby, didn't he?
Was it a whole season though, or
they lost the playoff final?
Oh, that's right, they did, yeah. And then he left, and it was an opportunity for Chelsea. He's supposed to hit the reset button, and I think it was a no-brainer for them to. I think I said to my dad at the time, I thought it's a great move for Lampard and probably a great move for Chelsea. And the transfer embargo has probably helped them bring that youth element through. I think at one point a couple of seasons ago, Chelsea were renowned for having nearly upwards of 40 to 50 players out on loan at that time. Yeah. And that's just crazy numbers. But now they're starting to, reap the benefits of those players that are going out on loan and bringing them back and giving them some game time. But, something to think about is that Chelsea have had no such problems in front of goal in particular, but their main man, Tammy Abraham, hasn't scored a single goal in the last 8 games across all competitions, slowing down considerably after his remarkable start to the season. He's got 13 goals this season in the Premier League and he's not scored in the last 7. Is this a common case of up steps West Ham?
Up steps West Ham. He'll get a
If you want an easy free money tomorrow, just put a bet on Abraham's at any time.
Yeah.
It's just...
we're laughing about it, but it's fast. We're laughing about it, but
it is literally scripted.
It's going to happen. Yeah. And Abraham's have been struggling to get in the first team because Pulisic has been playing and whoever else. Giroud.
He's in decent form.
Yeah, he's in decent form. So Abraham's and Giroud will start tomorrow. And you can bet your bottom dollar they'll get a goal each.
He'll probably score because we've tried to sign him.
You've got to look at Chelsea and how they bred the young players through into the team, and a lot of people slag off, Chelsea's owners. And, I couldn't get it. I don't know where I was going with that. Look at the young player Billy Gilmore. He's only up the road from where I live in Scotland. He came through the ranks at the local town, went through Rangers, came to Chelsea. The guy's tiny. I'm not joking. Commonly known in football and Premier League, they always say the really, really small players can't make it, can't cope. But when you look at him on the ball, he's a fantastic footballer. He's very aware of his surroundings, and he doesn't allow a player to get close to him. And if he feels them getting close to him, he can pinpoint a pass, no problem, other side of the park. And that's the problem when you start to look at, in particular, Chelsea's lineup against Leicester. The quality starts to shine through. You put Kante alongside Mason Mount, alongside Willian, alongside Billy Gilmore. Then you've got Abraham, and of course we know Pulisic is pulled off the pitch against Leicester in the FA Cup, and it's touch and go whether he makes it. But when you start to add that up against the West Ham, you just start to feel like where's the excitement?
If you give young players the opportunity to shine and give them the confidence, they'll come out and do it for you. And you could argue that finally when we bought Bowen, I know we're going to talk about West Ham in a minute, but when we bought Bowen, it was a similar thing. But look how long it took Moyes. Almost as if it was like, I bought you, but I'm not going to use you because I don't really quite trust you at the moment. Whereas at Chelsea, they've gone, all right, lad, come and show us what you can do. We're going to play you. So prove to me. What was that? Prove to me.
Next door neighbour, apparently.
Prove to me that you can do it on the pitch, and then if you do well, I'll play you again, and then you become a regular, and that's what Chelsea have been doing. Good on Frank Lampard. We gave him a lot of stick, didn't we? When he left West Ham, and a lot of fans don't sort of really wish him well, but I take my hat off to him. He's new to management. He's got fresh ideas. He's got young players, and he's gone, show me what you can do. And he's gone, and they've gone out and proved to him that they are worthy of staying in that first 11.
Let's look at if Pulisic doesn't make it, he may reward Ross Barkley with an opportunity. What a player to step in his boots, and a player we've been linked to for such a long time, and a player I would actually absolutely love at West Ham is Ross Barkley, and I wouldn't be surprised if he started against us tomorrow night.
Yeah.
Well, what's your thoughts on him, Matt?
He's a very good technical player. I don't think he ever reached the heights that he was sort of given, expected of when he was at Everton. Sort of as soon as he burst onto the scene, everyone was like, "Oh, he's a new Gascoigne." But for what he is, he's a very good technical player.
Yeah.
If he wasn't good enough, he wouldn't be getting in Chelsea's team. You've seen it. Some players that Bakayoko got sent out on loan. I think he's in France or Italy, whereas they just went, "We bought you, but you're not good enough. You're gone." Whereas they've persisted with Barkley, and you can see at times, you can see that the ability's there. He might shine it more in another team where he plays consistently week in, week out, but he gets to run the games. You can see that he can hurt teams. And like you said, he's someone that I say someone do well at our club. He'd probably come to us and be injured all the time. So
very, 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 very typical. So let's look at Chelsea stats for the season. Played 31, won 16, lost 9, scored 55, conceded 41 with 6 clean sheets. So they do concede goals. There's maybe something to take from it. What?
It's their defence is their weak point, which I think everyone knows. They cannot get a solid centre-back partnership going. He's constantly changing that back four because he cannot get a solid back four going.
Yeah.
But he's at the point where I'm not think he's worried because he knows they won't ship a lot of goals. They might concede a goal, but he also knows that the firepower they've got going the other way, they'll score 3.
Yeah, and he almost doesn't worry about that, does he? That not that you shouldn't worry about your defence, but as Matt just said, because Lampard knows that he's got goals in his team, he's just going to put them out there and say, "Go for it." And he's got, when a team just are told to go out and play. I mean, look, he talked about Kante, we mentioned him earlier. And we all think he's a defensive-minded midfielder, and Lampard has come out and gone, "I want him to cover the length of the pitch." So almost like, I know you're defensive-minded, but forget your defensive duty. Go out there and help us score goals. And what an attitude! What a fresh attitude to have when you're managing a team. When you give them the confidence by turning around and going, "I want you to go out there and score as many goals as you can." And I know, every manager probably wants his team to go out and score goals, but you can feel it in the way that Chelsea play. They're there to attack, and that makes up for their defensive frailties. So, but then again, you've got to have an attack. You've got to be defending an attacking team to worry about your defensive frailties. And we've got West Ham who have forgotten how to attack. So I don't think they're going to worry about the defensive set. Well, yeah.
Quite possibly.
They could play one at the back. They could just put Zuma or Christensen at the back on his own.
Oh, this is terrible, lad. Should we start again? And I'll try and be a bit more positive.
Oh no, do you know what? Like, listen, I mean, when it comes to predictions, you'll see how positive I'll be. But the thing is, it is quite tough to see light at the end of the tunnel when we've not really seen any form of fight. But although what we have to take from something is, we didn't see any fight against Man City before COVID-19 kicked in. Then we stepped up against Liverpool and we started to show something. And if that West Ham turns up, then that's where the fans will start to back, get behind. Well, we're not going to be there at the stadium, sorry, but the players will get G'd up, and it's just if they turn up, that's the main thing. Listen, let's get on to West Ham. It's not been a fantastic start for us. Today, Moyes he's not ruled out completely Sebastian Haller for the game. It's unlikely, but I wouldn't be surprised if he sits on the bench. He's not ruled out Oggy. I wouldn't be surprised if we see him sitting on the bench. He's more or less ruled out Masuaku. How do you feel about that one, still?
I'm absolutely gutted, mate, that Masuaku may not make the game. I mean, he's the best left back that this country has known by a country mile, isn't he?
What we do know is Snoddy, unfortunately, looks like he's going to be out for the season. I think is it picked up a hip injury, they said?
Stress fracture in his back or something. Yeah.
And I mean, he is a big miss, isn't he? Like the work rate, everything he offers to the side, and the fight, the determination. I mean, what is that a big miss for West Ham still?
I think, it is. It is actually, because of the way he plays his game, and he brings a lot of energy to the team. And I remember me slagging him off a couple of seasons ago, suggesting that he wasn't good enough for West Ham. And I eat my hat now for being so wrong. And what we know about Snodgrass is he technically isn't that brilliant. He's good. He's good at set pieces. He's good at taking corners, but he fights. He fights for the ball, and that's the massive difference between what Snodgrass does and what quite a lot of the players do at the moment. And you guys know I love flair players. I love the way, I've always loved flair players, but at the moment I'd rather see 2 or 3 Snodgrasses in the team than seeing Anderson in the team or seeing Lanzini in the team, because at this time we can't afford flair players. We need more. It's a pity he's out. I think he is a loss, and I don't think he'll be back for the rest of this season by the sounds of it.
Yeah,
and it is a big loss for us.
Matt, do you think the returning of Augie is needed for West Ham? Do you think that'll make a difference in the defence, considering we've been again inconsistent with team selections?
I think it will let Declan Rice go back into midfield, and hopefully that means that Noble can have a rest.
And so we're dropping Balbuena.
Yeah, I would actually bring Ogbonna, because last year Balbuena and Diop were the best partnership, but this year by a country mile, Ogbonna and Diop have been the better partnership. Balbuena's not been great. I did worry when he came in the other day, and although we lost, he didn't have a bad game, so it'd be maybe unfair to drop him. But I would bring Ogbonna back in and put Rice straight back in midfield. I would drop Noble, and like Stel said, if I could pick any team right now, I'd have Rice, Souček, and Snodgrass as a midfield 3. Because controversial or not, I think right now Snodgrass is more of a captain than Noble. Snodgrass will moan at players for not running about. He will put a shift in. He will have a go at players and say, roll your socks up. Whereas Noble, I don't know, he doesn't seem to... I don't know if this year, maybe like mentally he's won too many years for him. He just seems defeated. He doesn't actually, from what you read online, it says Declan Rice is the one shouting around the training ground, trying to get people going. It seems like Noble may have given up. I don't know.
I don't know if it would be. I mean, realistically, I don't think Noble will have given up. I think, if anything, he may just be lethargic. It might just be so much pressure on his shoulders. He is born, bred, lived his life through West Ham, and maybe this has just got too much. On top of that, the responsibility as a captain for West Ham when he was going to all those meetings through COVID, he's had a lot on his shoulders. Now, I'm not sitting here saying that I don't think he should be rested. I think there's a time and a place, and I think he should be rested. But I do think he has had a lot on his shoulders. I certainly don't think Noble. I'm not saying you're saying he's given up. I just don't think he has given up.
I think he's mentally broken.
Yeah, I think he
can't get himself. If he can't get himself going, he can't get anyone else going.
No, that's true, and I think he probably feels the pain of the fans because he is a fan. That's the thing. He definitely feels the pain of the fan. But then something else to add to the equation is what was your thoughts on Creswell's comments when on TalkSport regarding Declan Rice? I mean, do we read into that too much, or was it the right thing for him to do?
It literally depends on your own personal interpretation of how he said it. Because it split the fan base down the middle. Some people saying, he's just put Rice in the window saying he's much better than everyone else. On the flip side, he's probably saying what most people are saying anyway. He is better than most of the squad. There's certain individuals in that team that you put them in another team.
Yeah.
Haller, if you put Haller in another team, I guarantee if he went to like a Leicester or a Chelsea, he would score 25 goals a season.
Yeah.
Because even with Giroud up front, they play Giroud, who's got no mobility whatsoever. He's still scoring goals because they put crosses in the box. They play 3 up front, 2 wide guys that either get crossing or link up with the centre forward, and he's always got support. Yeah. We put him up front, and you've got no one within 30 yards of him.
Yeah.
So, if you put Declan Rice into Man City's team to replace Fernandinho, he would be 20 times better because the level of play around him is higher. He's not got to contend with Zabaleta, poor old Zabaleta, or Frederick sitting at right back thinking, crap, when he gets caught out in 2 minutes, I'm going to have to get over there and try and cover it. Yeah. He's thinking, no, Man City, I'll drop into the middle of the back 3 and one of the centre-backs will go and cover it. And straight away, his play will become better. So what Creswell said isn't wrong. You could probably say, we would have said the same 18 months ago about Lanzini before he had his horrible injury and he went to the World Cup with Argentina and he's linked with Liverpool. you said the same thing. He would have been a better player around better players. It's not an inaccurate statement, and it applies to a lot of players at a lot of teams, even in the lower teams.
Yeah,
there are certain players you could go, he would be better in another team. You know, Man United, everyone talks about Paul Pogba. If you put Paul Pogba in a team where he could play at number 10, which is his position, he would be a better player.
Yeah, of course.
So it just depends on what your take is. The timing of the statement wasn't great. You know, I'm not being funny. If we were 10 points better off than we are now, and we were sitting on 37 points, basically safe, the backlash he got probably wouldn't be anywhere as near as bad as it is now.
Yeah.
Because the situation, like, well, you shouldn't be saying that right now. Maybe Creswell shouldn't have said it, but it's not an inaccurate statement.
Yeah.
It's not an inaccurate statement. It's factual. And there's a few players in the squad you could say will be better elsewhere. You look around at the squad and you think, I said it against the Tottenham game. After the Tottenham game, I said in the chat, I was like, Rice will be off. Like, he doesn't need this abomination he's playing around him. He's like looking around the team half the time, like, what the hell are you doing?
But to be honest, though, you do see that kind of deflated attitude in a lot of the players, to be honest. And let's talk about a player that's been on the tip of the tongue of everyone this season, or in particular since we've returned, and that's Felipe Anderson. I mean, I think, again, I don't know, is he being mismanaged, or is it his attitude, do you think, still? I mean, I'll pass this one to you.
I think he hasn't been on form. That's a fact. And because you could argue that he's been managed by two different managers this season, and he hasn't really shown a lot of difference in his form. But I also think that it looks to me, and I could be wrong, it looks to me like he's the sort of player that needs to be G'd up. He needs to be sort of, given that sort of that inspirational talk to us, like, you're the main man, go out there and do it. Bit like what Moyes did when he first came to us, and he turned to Arnautovic and said, you're going to be our main man, go out there and show everyone that you can do it. And I think perhaps Anderson needs that similar sort of thing. And I don't think that Moyes is the sort of manager that would do that, to be quite honest with you. Now, I'm not offering excuses for Anderson's performances, because they haven't been good. Without a shadow of a doubt, they haven't been good. But when you look at a player like that and you do expect more, then you kind of start thinking, well, is he being misused? Is he being mismanaged? You look around the rest of the team and you start thinking, hang on a minute, they're all doing this. They're all the same. They're not all crap players. And it's quite interesting what you just said, Matt, that if someone like Declan Rice was around, better players, he would shine even more. But we've got some actually really good players in our squad, and that's something that we forget. We actually do have some very, very decent players. We've got Souček in. All right, I know he's on loan, but he's in. We've got Bowen, who we brought in, who I think has been a bit of a breath of fresh air as well. Allaire before he went out injured. Anderson himself. If you look at our squad, we actually have got decent players, but they're just not playing in a decent way. And Pellegrini was as much as at fault as that as Moyes is, because they both insist on playing this one up front rubbish, and it doesn't get the best out of the players. And you just mentioned a moment ago, Anton, and I've said it several times as well, like the last 3 games before lockdown was a turning point for us, where all of a sudden Moyes started to remember that you can actually play someone else up front with the striker. And all of a sudden, it was a completely different game. If you remember against Man City, I think we had Masuaku playing, who was defensive-minded, and Antonio was up on his own. Remember banging the ball up, and he was on his own running for lost causes. He made one change in the next game against Liverpool with Anderson, and he told Anderson to play a lot closer to Antonio. Completely different type of game. I think Fornals came back in for that game as well. Yeah. And it was a completely different game. And all of a sudden we were like, shit, we've just narrowly been beaten by by Liverpool. Then we convincingly beat Southampton, and we were really, really unlucky not to get anything against the Arsenal game. And that's all because Moyes finally decided to play attack-minded football, and it paid off for us. And this is what I can't understand now. I've criticised Lanzini and Anderson and all the other players and saying that they're not playing well. But then you look at the formation and you look at the style of play. if you remember what we said against, I think it was the Wolves game where they had the 20-minute water break, and all of a sudden they came back from the water break as if they were a completely bloody different team, because the first 20 odd minutes we were playing really well and quite forward thinking, and it's as if Moyes had said to the team, "Hang on, lads, be careful, don't go over that halfway line," and it changed. It kind of changed. We all of a sudden we sat back, and we've been sitting back for 2 games, and we're quite likely to sit back tomorrow night as well, which I think is bad. And it doesn't inspire the players. Anderson can't be inspired by that type of style of play.
You can't.
Sorry, long
answer. I know it sounds really negative, but you are starting to get that vibe of, the Avram Grant era where players were not inspired by the coach, the manager. I mean, we're getting comments coming in here saying pretty much the same. One player I want to talk about, or a couple of players before we kind of move on to predictions of the team and predictions, etc. Get your comments in. We will try and run through them near the end. But Pablo Fornals, I mean, prior to, again, COVID, he was playing in his position. He was starting to get a bit more confidence. Bang, we come back and he's left isolated out in the wing himself completely, given instructions as if he's like not to come anywhere near forward, and then getting it's just, what is it that we see that the management can't see? I mean, there's also, again, talk, or maybe people are just suggesting it, but maybe using this man, Yarmolenko, to bring him up front. But either way, we've got Wilshere sitting on the bench who's supposed to be fit. These are potential game changers. They can change the whole dynamics of the game. Yep. What is it you think, from the 3 players in particular I've mentioned, Matt, that Moyes can't see, or do you think he'll do anything with those 3 in particular for this game?
The Fornals one, like Stell was saying about Anderson, I think Anderson's not got any confidence. But I think also it seems to be that he wants more defensive wingers.
Yeah.
Because I think I made the joke in the chat of the Tottenham game when Fornals was playing left wing. We were actually playing 5 at the back and Fornals was playing left wing back. Fornals was so deep, he was literally playing left wing back. He wasn't playing left mid.
Yeah.
And it comes back to the point that I think he's doing the exact same thing that he'd done with those Man City and Liverpool games. He's turned around and gone, all right, when we come back from this COVID break, we've got 3 stupidly hard games in 3 teams going for the Champions League spot in Wolves, Chelsea, and Tottenham. After that game, we've got 6 games we can go at it and get points.
Which is a bit like what he treated, when the Man City team came up.
Because he didn't risk Bowen for them 2 games.
Yeah,
didn't give him his start until the Southampton game, and he fucking scored within 15 minutes. We won 3-1. And it's almost like he's turned around to attacking players and gone, look, these 3 games, I do not want to ship goals.
Yeah.
So don't bother attacking. How can you turn around to like Felipe Anderson and go, yeah, I know your only job is to attack. You pick up the ball, you run at players, you take people on, and you play, not even always accurate. Like I say accurate, they don't reach, but he plays those speculative through balls and attacking balls. It's gone to Anderson. Yeah, don't do that.
Yeah.
Sit 5 yards in front of Creswell and pick up the ball and just ping it 50 yards to Antonio.
Yeah.
Or side it. Yeah.
And then the second Anderson gets tackled, his head just drops. He's like, oh, well, that's it. I fucked up my defensive duty. I'm not going to be playing next game now.
Yeah.
Bang on.
Fornals comes in, but Fornals is a gritty player. And Fornals, to me, like, obviously we don't know him, but it seems to be that his mentality and the way he is as a person is that if you tell him to do a job, he'll do it. So he puts Fornals on the left mid instead of Antonio and goes, Tottenham, Son's going to get forward, Aurier's going to get forward. You need to be as far back as Aurier is forward. Instead of going to him, like that game, you could have put Anderson on the left wing and said to Anderson, stay forward. Because Aurier won't go too far forward. He might come 40 yards into a half. So you stay where he is. Whereas he literally went to Fornals and went, he's going to come 40 yards out. You better be 25 yards off our goal line.
Yeah. Yeah.
And Creswell was basically tucking in as a 3rd centre back.
Yeah, exactly. You're right, mate. We were playing 5 at the back. And if we do that against, and this is, I think, the massive criticism. I know, we've had people saying that, this ain't Moyes' team, and we shouldn't judge him too harshly, etc. But a manager earns his money when he starts to show what he can do with the squad he's got. And Matt is absolutely right, and that's why I think we're playing a very risky game. If he thinks that we're going to get enough points in our last 6 games because we're just going to write off the Chelsea game again tomorrow, that's a massive risk. But also, if we lose tomorrow again, if we lose badly, if we lose another 2-0 or whatever, how are the players going to feel? You need to give them that confidence. You need to be able to instill in them that there's a winning mentality. So if as Matt said, if all his Moyes is saying is damage limitation, guys, let's not ship any goals, and then we end up shipping goals because we're shit in defence, what is that going to do to the team in general? Their momentum, their enthusiasm is all gone. They're going to be, they're then going to go out against Newcastle. Is it Newcastle next, isn't it?
Yeah, I think it is Newcastle. Yeah.
They'll then go out Newcastle and they'll turn around and go, right, all out attack, lads. And they're going to be going, oh, hang on a minute. We've just played 3 games and we've shipped 6 goals or however many goals, and all of a sudden he's telling us to go out all out attack, and that is just such a risky game to play, and we talked a minute ago about how Lampard is setting his team up and he's telling defensive-minded midfielders go out and attack, and Moyes is telling attack-minded midfielders stay back and defend. I mean, all right, everyone in the team has got to defend. I understand that. When you lose the ball, you have to defend from the front and all that. But goodness me, not when you're all lining up across the back line. And given Chelsea technically gifted players the space and the freedom to go out and attack us, that's asking for trouble.
It really is. Listen, before we move on to our predictions, make sure you get your starting 11 for tomorrow night's game. West Ham starting 11. Who do you think should play from all the players we mentioned? Any of the players that are coming back from injury? Make sure you just get the comments in. Let us know. We'll try and read through them at the end. We are pretty confident. I'm pretty confident from discussing with us. We think West Ham should ring some changes tomorrow night. But before we move on to our team predictions, do we think Moyes will make some drastic decisions tomorrow night? Still,
no.
Matt,
I think he's going to make 2, maybe 3, but it'll be like for likes.
Right. So
so basically, that's no change.
Well, let's go for it then. So we've got Fabianski in goal, of course. Yep. Creswell left back.
Yep.
Fredericks right back. We're going. Oh, what are you thinking?
Johnson.
Right. Okay.
Well, that's interesting. The way he's spoken about Johnson, I don't think he will start him, but I'd like to see Johnson. What I'd like to see him do tomorrow night is use a few more subs and maybe bring someone like Johnson on, if need be.
Well, I kind of agree with you on that, though. There, still, I think what we might see tomorrow is if he does use more subs later on, that might be an inclination or a nod to players who may start for the Newcastle game.
Exactly.
So he may go for something reasonably similar tomorrow night, give these players one more kind of opportunity. But I think he's got no choice but to use substitutions tomorrow and do it earlier when it's needed.
Yeah. Not when there's 9 minutes to go.
So, Matt, you're going for Johnson. I'm still going to stick with Fredericks because I think that's what he'll do. Still, I think you're the same.
Yeah, Fredericks,
With Diop, and then are we going to go with Ogbonna starting or sitting on the bench?
I don't think he'll play Ogbonna tomorrow.
From what I've read in the press conference, I think he'll start him.
I think he's going to bring him on. I think he's going to bring him on as a sub.
I think he's going to, from what I've read online, I think he's going to start him.
I'd like to think he will start him. I like to see Ogbonna and
because I don't think he trusts Balbuena as much as he does Ogbonna.
The big but I need to say to that is that if a player has come back and not played any game time for such a long time, then you may see either or him start the game and warm up and then come off as a sub. I don't think he will start the game, but I think he will be on a substitute bench, and you may see him constantly on the sidelines warming up, getting his feel for the his surroundings, etc., and then may come on at some point in the second half, which in theory prepares him for the Newcastle game.
Yeah.
We'll see. Midfield, what changes are we going to see there, if at all any?
What I think, or what I want.
Well, let's go for what you think, based upon what Moyes will do.
Rice, Souček, Noble, Fornals and Bowen on the wings, Antonio up front.
Yeah, really? Is this what we're doing?
That I agree with Matt on what I think he'll do. We can tell you what. Let's tell you what we want him to do. Because I think that's far more interesting than what he's going to do.
That would be the team. I think, the only 2 changes you could possibly see would be the right back and a centre back. Apart from that, that'll be the
surely
team.
Surely, though, like something's different. Surely something's different this time. Surely that he's got to look at the last two games. Although I don't know, when I listened to the comments he made after the Tottenham game, I mean, they baffled me again.
Well,
They,
have you not seen
I'd
the comments he made today?
yeah,
You know, we third most runs this season were done in the Tottenham game, and it was like
he's becoming
second
a
most
joke.
distance covered or something. And it's like those stats were relevant.
He's
All that
talking-
means is that Tottenham had the ball for 90 minutes,
Yeah.
and fucking made us run around the pitch.
He's talking. When a manager starts to talk nonsense, well, you're halfway, down into the Championship already, and he's beginning to talk. He's beginning to talk riddles. It's like when he talked about using substitutions that I mentioned the other day about how we use them, shouldn't use them, and don't expect me to make substitutions out of the blue and all this crap. And it's like he was contradicting himself every time he said another sentence.
But there were several.
Don't forget it.
There were several times in both of those games that we've played that Moyes could have made a change earlier that could have impacted the game
Exactly.
at least more positive. And then West Ham fans or anyone looking at even pundits would have looked at that West Ham side and you know what? See, if we'd have fought against Wolves and got beat 1-0, that would have been different to not fighting and getting and feeling like you've been stuffed 2-0. The same against Tottenham. And that's all we're looking for is just something, a bit of bite, determination, a bit like what we did, exactly what we did against Liverpool, exactly what we did. Well, not so much, but still we did do it against Arsenal. But in particular, we keep going on about the Southampton game.
Yeah.
I mean, we need to, I'd get it as fans, we need to move on from the Southampton game, but what is it he can't do or emulate? Souček had a fantastic game. Bowen, Haller and Antonio. I mean, Antonio, I can't look at West Ham tomorrow night, see Antonio start and be isolated up top again. I can't. I physically. We're going to do a live watch along, and if I see it, I might implode and I might go mental. And the funny thing is,
get ready to implode, then, mate.
You can
get ready.
You can see it in the first 10 seconds exactly how we're going to line up, because the minute that the kickoff goes, Antonio drops into the midfield, or when he's separated from that midfield, there's a huge gap. And it's just the most frustrating thing. Because sometimes against Tottenham and Wolves, there was times we didn't even have even though Antonio was supposed to be up front, he wasn't up there ever.
Oh no, he was like 35 yards
going out wide to pick the ball up.
And then someone kicked the ball up top, and
there's no one there.
Tottenham players were like, "Oh, this is good. This is all right."
They were literally taking it down on their chest.
Take it down on my chest. Have a look around.
Wasn't even, there wasn't even anyone there to force him to head it to the centre back. He was like,
no.
He had time to go for a fucking piss and then take a chest down because there was no one there. At least the different Southampton game was Haller was up front.
Yeah. Well, this is why I want to get onto the teams that we want to see. So go on, Matt. Go for it, mate. Who would you like to see starting tomorrow? In midfield and up top.
See, I would go Rice and Souček sitting as a midfield two. I would put Bowen on one wing and either Anderson or Fornals on the other, purely depending on which one's actually up for it on the day, because you'll know on the day for the game which one looks like they're up for it more. And I would put Antonio up front with Yarmolenko.
100%, I agree.
Because you've got nothing to lose.
Slightly different view.
I would say one of the kids, I would say put Silva up front with Antonio, but Moyes is allergic to kids, so that's not going to happen. So go for Yarmolenko. It can't be any worse.
It can't be. Well, exactly.
Even a Jetty. Put a Jetty up front. I couldn't give a fuck at this point.
I'll tell you,
played up front against Spurs last year when he went 2-1 nearly scored. Put Diop up front.
The only other difference I would make to that, and I'm going to get laughed at, but I don't care because we all laugh at Moyes, so you can laugh at me. The only change I would make to that is I potentially would put Antonio out on the left, Bowen out on the right, Rice and Souček in the middle, and I will put Wilshere just behind Yarmolenko. Go for it. Try it.
You know what? It's something different.
It's something different.
Yeah.
And if he doesn't do that at the start, then do that during the bloody game.
But if
Moyes,
he does
are you watching? Do something different, please.
Listen, if you're watching, please let me remind you that this is what we want to happen. This is not
what's going to happen.
It's going to happen. This is what we want to happen. Either way, all we know is we want something different, because what we're seeing right now is not filling us with any form.
We've had one shot on target in 180 minutes of football since the restart, and haven't played a single minute of an actual recognised centre forward. Like, that's how bad the first 2 games have been. I said at the Tottenham game at half time, we in the chat, and we were like, oh, it's 0-0. And I said, no. I said, this has gotten Tottenham 2 written all over it. It's the exact same as the Wolves game. It seems to be these games, you don't see a lot of goals in the first half. We haven't really, of these games after the restart.
Yeah.
It seems to be the second half. And, you're right, put 11 men behind the ball for 45 minutes. But it's very hard in the middle of a game to change that mentality from all-out defence to then going, we've got to go the other way now.
Yeah.
Even if it's a balance of literally leaving 2 guys up front, because a lot of the teams are leaving 2 at the back. They're not like, the way teams play. And Chelsea tomorrow, they like the fullbacks to get forward. So if you leave 2 up front, they then have to go, we're going to go 2v2.
Yeah.
Or they're going to have to stop, the fullbacks have to drop back, and then the midfield gets more space.
Listen,
but it's going to be 1 up front.
I do suspect that Haller will be on the bench tomorrow. From Moyes' press conference, he said he's out training with the rest of the players. He might be ready, might not be ready. I wouldn't be surprised if he is on the bench. I wouldn't be surprised if he got a little bit of game time just to get himself up and running in preparation for the Newcastle game. Hopefully, we do see a bit of fight determination from West Ham tomorrow. But, let's see. Let's just see. It depends on what drink you're having tomorrow night. Depends on what kind of mood you're going to be in. Listen, before we get the comments, go through the comments, etc. And there's a few other things we want to touch on. Get your score predictions in right now. Let us know your score predictions for tomorrow night before we go through to our guys and ask the same question. So I will start with yourself, Stelios. What is your score prediction tomorrow night, 8:15 p.m, West Ham, Chelsea, London Stadium, no fans, live on a telly. We're doing a live watch along. Make sure you subscribe, watch, all that malarkey.
We'll be coming on doing the review at something like 10 o'clock-ish.
Yeah.
And we'll be celebrating a 3-2 win to West Ham because Yarmolenko...
You've been drinking already?
Yarmolenko would have scored a goal. Anderson will find form and score 1. And Fournette and Bowen will score. So 3-2 West Ham. 3-2 West Ham.
Positive
Despite
attitude.
my doom and gloom, I cannot, and I won't predict a loss. 3-2 West Ham.
Matt.
I'm serious. 3-2 West Ham.
My head says a 1-1. My heart says 2-0 Chelsea because that's the results we get.
Listen, I want you to just choose.
It's entirely going to depend
I want you to choose
on the
one of them.
formation he puts out.
You've got to choose one.
1-1.
So Stell's gone for a 3-2 West Ham win. Matt's gone for a 1-1. And I'm going to go for a 1-0 West Ham. It's going to be nice and calm today. Nothing
There
major.
is no way we're having a clean sheet. No way.
Listen,
That's why I said 1-1.
Of all the results, that is the less likely. Of all the 3 results we've just offered, that one is the less likely because we can't keep a clean sheet. So
if you have a
you might as well have gone for a
5 or stick on my bet. Don't stick on Stell's.
To be fair, Stell, we want 1-0 at their place. So
yeah,
but chance of winning 1-0 again.
Time, different place, different era.
Thank you very much.
Mate, as I just said,
I was there for that, and it was a good win. So
we've had 1 shot on target in 180 minutes of football.
That's why it's going to change.
And you think we're going to score 3 goals?
Yeah, 3 shots on target, 3 goals.
I'll be happy if we have 3 shots on target, mate. Let alone a goal. Like, playing a recognised centre forward tomorrow would be like a drastic step forward.
That's why
trying to get a win.
That's why the Ukrainian giant is going to, kick off our season, kickstart our season.
We always need, when we're in a relegation battle, you always need a fighter. Listen, before we move on, Words and Pictures is asking Alf doing a halftime report. Hopefully he is. I don't know if any of you caught it last week. It was hilarious. It was probably the best 15 minutes of our watch along. Quite possibly you will see. He went on I don't know what he was doing, but it was hilarious. So make sure you tune in tomorrow night for our watch along. Listen, before we move on, there is a couple of other things we just want to address just now. So this week we saw the new West Ham tops released by Umbro.
Hang on, that's the last game of the Boleyn top. Oh no, it's not. Oh yes, it is. Oh no, it's not. Oh yes, it is.
What do you think? Very brief.
I did make that point in the chat, didn't I? As soon as you put it up, I said, "Isn't that? It's a nice shirt. Don't get me wrong. I've seen people say it would look nice if they took the London out, But for me, I'm at the point now where I don't really care. But considering, isn't this the shirt that's had like 2 years of
Planning.
OSB input and and all that, and it's like it's just a
To be
standard.
honest, to be honest, I do like the top. I don't dislike the top. I suppose the only kind of annoying thing is you do want to see something a bit different if you're going to spend 50 odd bucks to buy the bloody top. But out with that,
you do know that you can buy that shirt without the West Ham badge on it for 15 quid.
I've seen it on there. Yeah. But listen, Matt.
Where's
listen,
that?
Wait.
Oh, really?
Umbro are our official partners. So
you're not allowed to say that, Matt.
I can, because it's on the Umbro website. You're still purchasing from Umbro.
Get your comments in and let us know your thoughts on it. I mean, to be honest, I really don't dislike it. I actually do like it. I like to strip at the last season of Upton Park, and yes, there's an extremely strong similarity between the two.
Don't get me wrong. I do actually like this. I do actually like it.
Yeah.
The thing that I said is about the fact that, was it last year? The West Ham board and all the supporters groups all saying, there's going to be a massive input from all the fans. It's going to be a really great shirt. I could have done that shirt in 5 minutes.
I like that comment. What I don't like about it is it's not
that comment. Exactly what I was about to say is that you could design that shirt in 5 minutes. It's a nice shirt. It is a nice shirt and it looks nice. I'm sure if you buy it without the Betway on it, it'll be even better.
It's simple. It's that's the new thing. That's the in thing just now.
I don't like it because I don't like the sleeves. I think they're cut up to someone. I was listening to.
Yeah, it seems like
I was listening
if you look at it again, like they're like this.
Yeah.
If you actually look at it, it's like an American football T-shirt.
It seems like it's been cut wrong. And I was listening to Nigel's. I know he's watching. Nigel's More Than Just a Podcast last night, and someone said it looked like a tank top, like a blue tank top with a.
And they've stitched the arms on. Yeah. You've stitched the arms on.
It looks a bit wrong, but for me, it's uninspiring.
I'm sorry, I don't know if you've seen it, and I should have got the image and put it up. I've seen an image of someone who's cut out the away top. It's a pretend away top, and it's just a vest. And it's like a guy.
It's white with like lime green on it.
He's at the beach and he's drinking a beer, eating a burger, and it's just a really tight up vest. It's quite funny, but
I'm looking forward to seeing the away shirts. I'm looking forward to the 60s style.
Yeah, but there's if you look at our last season at Upton Park's away top, I mean, I think it looks like there's going to be a lot of similarities between the home and the away top.
Yeah. But the thing is, these are meant to be celebrating 125 years, and it looks like a knockoff shirt.
Listen, we can't flag it off because Umbro are our partners, remember?
Well, we're not. Well, they are. We're not. But I think it's a shame because it's not celebrating 125 years because the tank top, that's it. It's not celebrating 125. If it was celebrating 125 years, we'd be wearing the Thames Ironworks navy blue.
Yeah,
which is what we should be wearing.
Surely they should have done stuff from the first year. Like maybe, like you said, like modernise it. Surely they should have gone back to the original colours from the first year and gone. Even if you made the Thames blue, maybe if you made that the away kit. Exactly,
and I think it's a bit of a. All they've done in 2 years of planning is put 125 under the crest.
Yeah.
Shame, really.
I like the shirt, but I wouldn't be as annoyed as I am now if they hadn't made this big deal about we're going to get all the supporters boards in and we're going to have a big think tank and designs and all that. And it's like, well, if you hadn't said that and brought it out, everyone would be like, yeah, it's great. Yeah. But it's like you're honestly telling me you bought you bought the OSB in to design this shirt and you gave us the same shirt that we had 5 years ago, but you somehow made it worse.
Yeah.
I'll still buy the shirt because I always buy them.
I'm not sure I'll buy that one. I'll look forward to the away shirt. I'm looking forward to the black and gold third kit. Apparently,
I always buy at least one kit every year, so I buy a kit. But it's just the hype. It doesn't meet the hype that the club put on the shirt. I think that's the best way to say it.
Yeah.
Umbro, as always, they've done great shirts. They've just signed a new, 3-4 year extension, apparently?
That's right, yeah.
It was announced yesterday. And again, we'll get another 3-4 years of great shirts. But, it's one of those instances where the club's overhyped it too much. They put too much emphasis on it, and it's another shirt.
Get your comments and let us know your thoughts on the shirt. One more thing I want to say is today West Ham announced the commissioning of a new statue at the London Stadium honouring the trio of club legends Bobby Moore, Jeff Hurst and Martin Peters, the 1966 World Cup winners who all progressed
A new statue?
Yep,
yeah,
at the London Stadium.
one.
Why aren't they bringing the old one from...
There was a big debate about whether or not they should move that from its rightful place where it was designed, put down. And yes, I know they had this... that was a part of the reasoning behind moving to Olympic Stadium. They said
I hope they don't get the geezer that made the Michael Jackson statue outside Fulham. Otherwise, we're going to have a shirt that's going to match the statue. I mean, oh, God. Can you imagine that?
See, to be honest, I think the good thing is that the original statue is staying in and around where Upton Park is. So, that'll give, hopefully, some form of reminder of where we were and where we've been, etc. Listen,
sorry about that.
It's going to be positioned at the champions champions spot. What is it called? The champions? I don't know what it's called. I mean, I've actually bought.
Where all the founder stones are.
Champion stones, yeah. I've actually bought 2 of them when I was a bit more, I was sold by the club on a lot of things. So I think I was there with you, Matt, recently trying to find it, and I couldn't find it. I can't remember where it is. You spend 60 quid, you can't even find the bloody thing. It's so annoying, but at least it's there anyway. But that's where they're going to be putting it. So get your comments in, let us know your thoughts on that. Anyway, this has been our Chelsea preview.
Oh, one more thing,
Matt.
Come out today. Socio's partnership finished.
Yes, seen that. Interesting enough. So one of the millions of partners that West Ham have is Socius, the fan token program thing. They've actually mutually terminated their contract with West Ham. So I think a lot.
Are they the ones that tried to influence
the fan token thing? Yeah.
Yeah.
Basically, they wanted to implement it this season to start next season, but because there's no fans, they were like, "Well, it doesn't work." Yeah. Our product's flawed because there's no fans. So they've apparently mutually parted ways, and that's the end of it.
Good. Bye-bye.
I try my best to do these previews in under 40 minutes, but there's physically no possibility that we're capable of doing a short video. The only way
you voted me on. No.
We've still got 5 fans watching, so we might as well carry on.
Hold on a minute. It's dropped out of 2. So listen, tomorrow night we're coming to you with team news update. We're coming to you with a live watch along. We're coming to you with the review straight after the game. We haven't planned it, but we'll be planning it straight after this. We'll get it all sorted. So make sure you tune in tomorrow night. We'll have some laughs. Listen, we know loads of other channels are doing it. Watch whatever you want.
Come and watch us. You'll have a laugh.
All we can guarantee is that we just have pure and utter banter. And if you want to just come and watch something just for pure and utter craziness, just look at the 15 minutes at halftime for Alf's halftime show.
I think we should extend the show for another 5 minutes and get Nigel on so he can tell us this funny story about Socios.
Yeah. Oh, of course. Remember, listen, Nigel came out this week with his own particular episode 1 on his YouTube channel.
The Real History of West Ham. Look it up on YouTube. Real REEL History of West Ham. Very good. Very good.
When you look at his channel, I mean, he doesn't upload a lot, to be honest, but he's put some episode 1 there on the history of West Ham. I think he's doing a kind of series that probably every single fan channel is wanting a piece of, but I quite like the fact he's putting it on.
Hint.
So make sure you tune in next week because you'll see episode 2 on our channel. Anyway, it's definitely worthwhile watching. It gives you really, really strong knowledge and history of West Ham and where we all kind of originated from. So make sure you tune in. Also make an appearance on, not in that video, but in one of his other videos. So it's quite interesting to watch. Anyway, Stel, you've predicted a 3-2 West Ham win. Matt,
3-2 result,
0-0. 1-1.
1-1.
Yep. And I've gone for a West Ham 1-0 victory. Again, make sure you tune in tomorrow night. Hit the thumbs up tonight. Subscribe, comment, blah, blah, blah. I've been Anton. He's been Stel. He's been Matt. Come on, you Irons.